red.
I see. How's that? Am I right? There we go. Okay.
Better. Yeah, now good. Good.
All right, here's my intro. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest is the president of the Nassau County Bar Association. You know him as the author of the best-selling book, Legal Muscle, Steroids in America. He's also been writing for Muscular Development magazine for almost 20 years, a column called Busted Legal Q&A. This is Rick Collins, Esquire, joining us from New York. Boy, oh boy.
Nothing going on here. Hi, how are you, Ron? Good to see you, man.
I'm glad I'm not in New York. Let's put it that way. Now, you're actually not far from the city itself, correct?
I'm very, very close to the city, so your speaking to me even remotely is probably going to subject you to exposure to the virus. So good. So we'll mutually spray. So we're good with that, and then don't, of course, forget to a little bit of Purell on the hands, and we'll be good to go. And if you need to, I do have gloves. So
I'm good.
If you're ready for your examination, Mr. Harris, I'm happy to begin to conduct that at some point.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
you are. New York City is the epicenter of the outbreak right now. For the world, I believe. I believe it has the most cases per capita.
Yes.
As of Sunday, it was like 20,000. I don't know if
it's winning the bad lottery, right?
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's because the population density in New York City is, you have more humanity crammed into one area than I would imagine any other city in the world, right?
Probably, yeah. There might be a few ahead of us, but we're such a vertical city that everybody's on top of one another. And unlike LA, which is a little more spread out, we're totally up and down. I've got a lot of family members in New York City, and some of them unfortunately are suffering with the outbreak and are positive for the coronavirus, but everybody's, safe. They're mostly younger people. Symptoms vary. It's so weird. Some of them don't even have a temperature. So it'll be just tightness in the chest and, some difficulty breathing. So after you a couple of sentences, and they'll begin to get a little winded from it. Weirdly, it's loss of taste and sense of smell. And one of the big problems here is lack of testing. So it's extremely difficult to get tested. So most of the people are now being told that they are positive for it just based on symptomology. And there's not enough tests, there's not enough masks. It's crazy. I have a good friend who's a nephrologist at a local hospital here. I think they have and this is a hospital right near where I am, and I think they're up to about 140 patients now, of which about 40 are on ventilators. So, and once you're on the ventilator, that's not a good prognosis. Yeah. So it's tough. It's, I think we're about a week and a half from peaking, from, the hitting the sort of the, that point at which we'll hopefully continue to see less growth in the cases and maybe a reduction in cases day by day and week by week. But yeah, it's a crazy place to be right now. My office is sort of working remotely. I'm home in my own bunker, and I'm not sitting in my pajamas, but I'm working from home. We've kidded around about what the end of the world would look like and the post-apocalyptic world, and there's a meme going around that says, this is what I thought I would look like, and it's Mel Gibson in Road Warrior, with all in leather with a shotgun. But this is what I really look like, and it's the dude from The Big Lebowski wearing his bathrobe and jellies and trying to get some, creamer for his White Russians. So, it's a weird place.
When did they actually shut down? The thing that I keep thinking, obviously this is a very narrow viewpoint, but I keep thinking public transportation. When I think of New York, I think of hundreds of thousands of people squeezed into subways like sardines, breathing on each other, coughing, sneezing. How long was public transportation going on before they shut it down? I assume it's shut down now.
No, it's we're all being told to stay home. I mean, that's really what it is. So they just closed down not too far from me is the Long Beach Boardwalk. So you're talking about a boardwalk on the Atlantic in Long Beach, where people typically could go to get some fresh air and exercise. That's now closed because too many people were, you get a certain amount of stir craziness, right?
Sure.
When you're holed up for a while and people wanted to just get outside and walk, but the density of people who were on the boardwalk alone was enough to shut that down. So we're being told to shelter in place or stay at home, however you want to call it. Yeah. And I think that's the important thing for all of us to be doing. Wherever we are, the virus spreads because we're out and about. And if the idea is we want to speed up the process by which we all get back to work, which is super important, given that unemployment is now, rising at the rate that it is, the sooner we get a handle on the medical, the sooner we can get a reboot of the economic and get people back to work. And I think, if we really hunker down and really don't, find excuses to get out and about, if we really just stay home as much as possible, we can get this finished a lot quicker than if we continue to kind of find ways to get out and about and kind of drag out the period of time before we can get back to work and get this economy moving again.
Now, here's a random question, but do you think part of the reason this disease got such a foothold so fast in the United States is because we have an ingrained sense of independence, a sense of distrust of the government, where a lot of people don't want to obey the federal government. And if they say stay home, they're like, I'm going to do what I want to do. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave. And they were out there spreading the virus when they should have been home.
Well, there certainly seems to have been part of that. I mean, I watched the videos that you probably saw of the young folks out in Florida who are cavorting on the beach and, shoulder to shoulder and saying, we're having a good time. No one's going to tell me not to party. I'm going to stay out here and continue partying. And of course, they all went home and gave COVID-19 to their parents and their grandparents, which is part of the reason why we're having the problems that we are. So, yeah, there is a certain, it's not going to happen to me and a certain pro-freedom kind of idea that pervades certain segments of the population. But I think we're reaching a point where I think it's sobering now. And I think people are beginning to realize, this isn't a joke. This is real and that we need to deal with it. I mean, luckily, most people will be okay at the end of the day. Certainly the people who are sick or old to begin with or who have some pre-existing conditions are going to be more vulnerable to having, a very bad outcome. But typically that's not most of us. But the problem is, even if for us it's not going to be that serious, we can pass it on to somebody who may be vulnerable, and we certainly don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think was a great ignorance, the great arrogance of all those people partying. And also, Mardi Gras was the end of February, which went off, as it always does, with thousands of drunken people.
Right.
The streets were just as packed as ever from the footage I saw. Anyway, let's shift gears because most of the readers of Muscular Development, the viewers of this channel, this has impacted them most close to home as far as the gym. They can't go to the gym now.
Right.
And, man, hell froze over because Bevin Steves Gym, which I didn't see would ever close their doors for anything except a nuclear war.
Right.
What has it been? It's been about a week now?
Maybe an alien invasion, and that would depend on how friendly the aliens were. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's your gym, right? That's where you train?
That's my gym. That's been my home gym for 20 years. Years ago, I used to compete out of, when I competed in bodybuilding, I competed out of Valencia Health Club in Elmont. But I'd been at Steve and Bev's for 20 years, never closed a day. Christmas, New Year's, blizzards, typhoons, Hurricane Sandy. I mean, the New York area has been hit by a few, everything other than plagues and locusts. We've been hit by some stuff through the years, including 9/11, but never closed until now, and obviously under the orders of the governor. So people who really were so used to training in the gym now are forced to really make up some sort of way of getting their exercise, and So it's now all home. If you want to invest in home gym equipment, because it's, there's a back order waiting list for people to get stuff. So I had some stuff here in the basement. I never really used it. I've got still some of those cement, those sand-filled blue vinyl weights, the plastic plates.
Absolutely.
I have a couple of dumbbells of those that my cousin and I went to buy. He was a few years older, my cousin Donnie, and I was 16 years old, and he took me to the local Sears, and we bought a set of these vinyl plastic weights, and that's how I started training with those weights.
Wow.
And so the sentimental value, because he passed away tragically a few years later. So I still have those weights. I'll never throw them out. I'm going to keep them forever. Wow. And I actually used them for biceps the other day, and I got a sick bicep workout, from those plates. I also have some heavier duty equipment and a few benches. So I'm getting by with what I need to do. And if you go on Instagram, you'll see everybody, is finding ways of inspiring others to get some kind of workouts at home. And so, look, is it the same as Bev's? No. I mean, I'd much prefer to be in my gym with my little training posse. I've got my little group, my crew, but we'll make do. I did shoulders and biceps this morning, and I'll be sore because it's different. You're hitting it in different ways, and even if you don't have the variety of exercise equipment, you can add intensity either by, tempo of training or, super slow negatives or, other ways, burns. There's ways of getting a good workout. You've been around long enough that you know the tricks.
And I've made a couple of videos trying to give people the silver lining of all this. This is a true test of how well you know your body, how well you know training, physiology, anatomy, because I have 3 pairs of dumbbells and a stationary bike. That's it. That's all I got. So I have to figure out how to train my entire chin-up bar. I'm sorry, I do have a chin-up bar. I have to figure out how to train keep at least maintain as much as I can until this all blows over, which is God knows when.
Right.
But yeah,
no time.
Now you have a few benches. You have extra benches. You should.
I do. I have 2 benches. So I have 2 benches. The hardest thing to train though, I think, is back. Because you don't have a lot of. You need something for heavy rows, or you need some sort of cable machine, which you don't have. Right. So, you could use a dumbbell for one-arm rows, but at some point you want a little variety. Mm-hmm. So unless you have a chinning bar, so I've on order some of those. They're like bands, I guess. There's a hook over the door, so at least you can get, depending on how you angle your body, you can kind of do sort of what approximates kind of a lat pull down or a row. So once those come, then I've got what I need, at least for the short term.
Yeah, I mean, think about the companies that are really doing very, very well right now. Home gym equipment manufacturers, I bet, are killing it. Amazon is killing it. Costco is killing it.
Right.
My wife works at Costco. They've been slammed. But, a lot of other people, unfortunately, are out of work. And that's what I want to talk about next is there's human lives. Of course, you can't put a price on a human life. But at the same time, the stock market took such a nosedive and people's 401ks are, worth pennies on the dollar now. And you have people, like you said, I don't know what the unemployment rate, I think they were projecting it could exceed 30% at one point pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if 30% of the workforce is filing for unemployment benefits, where's all that money going to come from? Small businesses, they're not going to come back from this. A lot of these small businesses, they can't go 3 months with zero income, even if they have lease forgiveness or whatever. This is talk to me about what you think about that.
It's going to be tough for a lot of those companies. I mean, imagine you're a restaurateur and you've invested 20, 25 years in building up a business and a loyal following, and now you're basically shut down. You've had to lay off your staff. A lot of the restaurants were trying to do takeout only, and they'll deliver it at the curbside pickup and things like that. Some of that is stopping now because I think those restaurants are just realizing it's the economics don't work. You can't really keep the cooks and the staff working for a limited amount of orders that are coming in curbside. So So yeah, it's tough for small businesses, especially, and they say small businesses are the engine that drives the economy, and it's true. And I think more needs to be done. I'm not sure the stimulus package is enough for what small businesses really need to get to be able to thrive. So I think it's yes, as you say, we want to focus on human life and really getting a hold of COVID-19 and seeing the numbers come down. And when we get back to work is dictated by the virus, as Dr. Fauci says. But also, there's got to be some limits to that, because there are economic concerns. What does a country look like with 30 or I don't know, 40% unemployment at some point? How do we thrive? Where's that money coming from? So at some point, the economics have to also be a factor to consider, because the fallout from an unemployment rate that high and nobody knowing where their meal is coming from can have a devastating impact that could rival or even exceed potentially the worst case scenario of the COVID-19 spread.
Yeah, but I mean, economically, we could be looking at something like the Great Depression, because what's the tipping point? How long can people be out of work? How long can businesses be shut? How long can this country be on lockdown with nobody making money? And eventually, they're all going to come to the government looking to bail me out. And then the airlines are going to want to bail out. The automotive, they're all going to want bailouts. People are looking for stimulus packages. Where is all this money going to come from?
Right. Yeah. We can only speculate what that tipping point is. Is it a week? No. It's somebody's waiting for you outside.
No, that's not my house.
Is it a week? No. I think we could hold on for a number of weeks, maybe for a month, maybe for 2 months, potentially, I guess. If the virus dictated that we remain shut for 2 years, if that's what the virus dictates, I don't think we can listen to the virus. At some point, we have to say, this, we won't have a country.
Right.
So where that tipping point is, I think it's more than it's more than a couple of weeks for sure, but it's certainly less than 6 or 8 months. Where that is, I don't know. I can't imagine it could ever go anywhere near that 6 to 8 months. So which comes back to the point that I think the stricter we behave in terms of following the protocols, of staying in place, not exposing ourselves to other people, not potentially infecting them if we're carrying it, even if we don't know it. And that's the scary thing, is that you may be asymptomatic, but may still pass it on to others. The more we can shelter in place and take this seriously, the shorter the period of time that we'll need to do that.
Right. Switching gears yet again, people know you as a criminal defense attorney, but you also represent a lot of the CEOs and owners of supplement companies.
Yeah.
What's the status? How are these companies doing right now? I know they're deemed as an essential business because it's food. It's part of the food supply, technically. So how are they doing financially? Are they okay right now?
So I think, people always need to eat, right? So food, if you're in the food business, it's an essential business, like you said, and essential businesses can stay up and running. That's the big difference between small businesses that are deemed essential now and small businesses that are not essential for the economy. So, but if you're essential, and that's food and supplements, you can stay open. And so they're working and they're manufacturing and they're selling. And particularly supplements, I think, are something that people will gravitate to when there's a pandemic, when health is a big issue. People are afraid. They want to be healthy. Go online, you'll see some people are recommending high vitamin C or high vitamin D during, So, yes, I think supplement companies will be okay. But if you're a brick and mortar supplement store, you're not looking too good now. I think the brick and mortars in general are going to suffer, whether it's a restaurant or it's a store attached to a mall or in a mall. The prognosis isn't good, and I think the long-term prognosis is probably not as good because of this as it would have been if not for this. And even if not for this, look, we were already becoming more and more of a digital homebody, remote society, right? You know, I have friends who barely leave their house. It's Uber Eats when they want a meal. It's Instacart when they need groceries. It's Netflix when they want entertainment. They're not going to a movie theater. They're working from home on their computer. If they have a meeting, they're going to Zoom or GoToMeeting. So there's less and less reason for a lot of people to go out of the home. We're already seeing Amazon can deliver almost before you even order it. It's showing up.
Yeah.
So, you really don't need to leave for the things that you used to. Costco, online. I mean, So all of that was already something that was changing our behavior as consumers and the way we purchase and the way we live. And I think this is going to accelerate that process dramatically because now, number one, people who maybe weren't buying into that are now forced to buy into it, right? And are going to get used to it. They're going to habituate to a new model of how they get goods and services. And people who are already into it are going to get even more into it. Companies potentially are going to begin to say, look, we've just let all of our workers work from home during this, pandemic, and their productivity was good. We survived this work at home sort of paradigm. And if we keep that going, we can sell off our building and save all of our overhead for all of those lease payments or mortgage payments, sell the building, keep the money, talk to our employees remotely from their homes. They have the overhead. They're paying their mortgage or their rent. We have no overhead there. I think we're going to see more and more of that. And, we could talk about what the societal implications of that are, but it's more and more of a disconnect between us. It's more separation. We're connected by the digital, by our phones, by our laptops, but we're interacting less and less. And just from a physical standpoint, the fact that we're now being conditioned not to shake hands, less hugging of strangers, less proximity to strangers, even just on a psychological level, I think we're being driven to become less and less connected to people in real space.
Yeah, this sounds like a plot of an episode of Black Mirror on Netflix. Some sort of dystopian sci-fi future where people don't have any contact. And did you ever see an animated movie a few years back called Wall-E? Wall-E?
Yes,
robot?
yes.
Do you remember? So part of that, there was an ark, a spaceship going, I don't know, they were going to some new homeworld for humans. And they all were on this ship in their little pods with some sort of virtual reality TV screen over their head. And the food was just delivered right to their mouth, and they were all obese, and they never left that little easy chair, and that's we all laughed at that, but that's sort of where we're
getting
headed.
there. Yeah, that's 2022. So well, I know you're a big Walking Dead fan.
I am.
I know, and so I think we need to avoid that kind of a post-apocalyptic world. This COVID-19 is sort of, potential to, other than the biting, when the biting starts, that's where I think, that's where we really have to start worrying. But, until then, that's sort of the post-apocalyptic future that we fear, right?
Yeah, I honestly believe, and I love that show dearly, but I believe it sort of warped people's minds where we all took on that Doomsday Prepper mentality over the past couple weeks. People were out there fighting over bottled water and toilet paper. People got, you'd see things. People got stabbed over a roll of toilet paper. They're acting like we're never going to be able to get food again. This is your last chance. You better stock up for the rest of your life right now.
I'll use one square of toilet paper at a time because I may never get any more.
I don't get the bottled water. So was there ever going to be a stoppage of the water and sewer?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
People are crazy. Just to complete aside, zombie aficionados either are can be divided into the camps. I don't know which camp you fall into. There are the slow-moving zombie aficionados.
Romero, the classic Romero zombie.
Classic Romero, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, absolutely. And then there are the fast-moving zombie aficionados, which, whether it's
28 Days Later is the one.
28 Days Later, although I prefer Train to Busan. I think Train to Busan, for those who haven't seen it, super fast-moving, twitchy. If you're going to have a fast-moving zombie, you want it to be twitchy. It's the twitchiness that really seals the deal.
Creepy. Yeah. And another thing I know another business that's booming right now is firearms. Gun shops are selling out. They're selling out of every rifle, pistol, shotgun. Every kind of ammo is flying off the shelves. It's I don't know how much of this is the media really scaring people, because they operate on they're driven by fear. That's how they get people to keep coming back to clicking on their news websites, and
ratings go way up.
So it behooved them to keep people very, very scared, and they did a great job.
Well, this is validation to all the preppers, of all the years that people were, we talk about prepping, meal prepping, is very different prepping than what the preppers are doing. And that is stockpiling canned goods and guns and ammunition and, sealing off bunkers to protect against the marauding, intruders who will try to steal your canned goods. So this, I think, validates some of that. And yes, there's a lot of people who are buying guns. I have a friend of mine who's like, anybody in New York better have a ton of guns. Okay. It depends. The South, I think, is much more comfortable with that. Here in the North, there's maybe not so much of a emphasis on that. But I don't know. Who knows? Hopefully, let's get this country back to work,
please,
so that we don't have that sort of post-apocalyptic landscape.
Yeah, I don't want to see roving bands of marauders up and down my street with guns and attack dogs.
You've seen The Road Warrior, right?
Of course, big fan.
So that would be that's worst case scenario, right?
Let's hope it never gets anything like that in our lifetimes or ever, because that'd be.
And if it does, you want to be the leader. You want to be,
I'd like to be, but I got a couple little handguns, but I don't think I'd be the head pirate. Somebody with like a 50 cal would be in charge. But still, man, Rick, these are crazy times. This is, we're not. You
gotta laugh. You have to find humor. Look, I'm in the hot spot, the hot zone, and you get up in the morning. You're like, okay, what more poop is going to hit my fan today? Yeah. But we have to keep our sense of humor about things. We have to try to stay positive and upbeat. And I do. I'm that kind of person. We see each other on Instagram and a lot of the stuff. I'm Rick Collins ESQ for those of you who want to follow me. And I stay positive. I try to be inspirational and motivational when I can, as you do. And look, we're all in this together, whether you're in the hot zone or not. We're all in it together, not only throughout the country, but literally around the globe. Yeah. So let's be good to each other. Let's be kind to each other, and let's get through this together.
Absolutely, I think we can all come out of this better in some ways. Absolutely, there's got to be a way that we're all going to have so much more gratitude for the things that we took for granted. Personally, the gym. When I come back to the gym, I'm probably going to kiss the ground and then wipe off my mouth. But just the little things that we all took for granted, just being able to move about and go to any store we wanted, any restaurant, bars, clubs, football game, baseball game, basketball game. When this is all over, I think everyone should just have a very deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for every little thing that we have every day that you see it can be taken away in the blink of an eye anytime.
100% agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Rick, thank you so much. Rick Collins, Esquire, everybody. Thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me on, Ron. Great. Yeah. Stay safe out there. Keep washing your hands. Don't touch your face. Stay away. Stay home, man.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Ron Harris with Rick Collins Esquire. We'll see you next time.